All right, hello, and welcome to boho style painting with me, Krista Mulkey, Texas Gypsy style. Today, I'm gonna be telling you guys how I completed this buffet. I had a lot of requests for some boho painting styles. So we'll just get started. I'm using all Dixie Belle products, so this one is going to be starting with cobalt blue, and I'm going to do an all over paint on this one. So I'm going to follow along here basically with you guys and kind of walk through what I've been doing here. So I've got my oval brush, and you can get a Dixie Belle oval brush. The one I'm using is a Klingon brush, and I do have those on my website also. You guys can order your Dixie Belle products from me through my affiliate link. But either of those brushes is going to work awesome, and you're going to love it, is all I'm going to say. Oval brushes are awesome and such a great all-purpose brush. So I've got my cobalt chalk mineral paint from Dixie Belle, and I am brushing on and I've got my brush tip probably a little bit wet. Nothing too crazy because I do want to have some really good coverage here. So I don't have to color in or paint in the whole piece like super solid, but I do want to get the majority of it, and I do want to go back over it in places so that I can have double coat. So 2 applications basically, so that that cobalt really stands out, because whenever you have it a true color, once you've gone over it a few times, oh my gosh, it's just gorgeous. So that's what I'm working on here. Prior to this, I cleaned with white lightning, and you can get that from my link as well. And for that, you would just follow the instructions on how to use white lightning. It's going to really clean your piece and get all the grime and grease or whatever was on there. You'll just want to make sure that you really clean it off once you've used it. So this paint is going on really smooth. Like I said, if you dip your brush in a little bit of water and then work with your paint, and it will do a really nice finish, especially if you're using one of these brushes. I highly recommend them. I honestly, when I first started, I was like, I am not spending money on a brush, but in the end, look at where I'm at. And if I didn't believe it, then, or if I didn't think it worked, then I would not get it. I like to save money and all that, but if it's going to give me a better finish and an easy application, if it really makes a difference in how those brush strokes come out and how coverage comes down to it, I mean, I'm all about it. So this is my business, and I want everything to look awesome and professional and give you guys that wow factor every time. So here I am going over just like all those little details that are on this buffet. This is a Jacobin style buffet, possibly like a revival style. So you can see on the bottom legs, they're really chunky and gorgeous. It's a solid wood piece, so it does have real wood real wood veneer on it. So even so it has that, we're still able to paint over it and make it beautiful. And in the end, once we highlight all these beautiful carvings in there, it's gonna look really awesome if you've already obviously seen the ending results. So here I'm showing you my other colors, which are gonna be Peacock and Honky Tonk Red. And what I'm holding up now is the cobalt color. Definitely one of my favorite colors. Honky Tonk Red is a favorite too. And on this piece I had already stripped the top, and I used a stripping agent, and then I went over and sanded down with the 220 grit palm sander, one of the square ones, to buff everything out basically. So the top is ready for me to stain, but I won't do that till the very end on this piece. Some people prefer to stain first on everything. Some people prefer to do it last. It just depends on what type of furniture I'm working with or what painting style. If I was painting white, I would most likely and definitely have stained that top piece first. But since I'm doing some colorful boho looks and I'm not wanting to be like super duper perfect, it's just kind of my style in this, then if I get a little bit of stain on the sides, I'm totally okay with that. It just brings a little bit more color to everything, so it's all good. And vice versa, if I get paint up on the top, usually not the very top, but like on my edges, on my corners of where I'm going to stain, I think that's okay too, because I think it brings in some character, and I love it. Okay, so now we're going to be working in our second color of our color combo. It's going to be called Peacock, and it's a lighter turquoise blue. So once again, I just want to say that I don't wet my chip brushes, and I'm using, it's basically a dry brush technique. So I'm going to be hitting all of my edges and carvings in this piece. And for a lot of it, I'll start, as you can see right there, using my brush like more towards the flat end, unless I'm going deep in these cracks right here. I will cut into those. So in order to hit a lot of these surfaces, I'll kind of just flatten out my brush to the side and tap in a lot of these areas. And I'm just barely hitting the surface, so it's like gently putting some paint on there for me. It's kind of giving a weathered, distressed look already, which is what I want. I'm always going to be putting more paint in each corner. I don't know where I went. Oh, I probably had to go check on the dogs or my son or something. Okay, I'm back. So I like to start from the outside in on each area. So like where the drawers are, you can kind of see like a box. So what I like to do is frame that portion out first, or most of it. I'm trying not to get in your way here in the camera, so that's probably why I didn't go all the way with it. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be in the way here. But so once again, I'm gonna hit these carved areas and appliques to make everything stand out. So I've got my dark cobalt blue base coat, and when I come back over it with this lighter color, everything's just really gonna pop, and it just, your eye is gonna catch it, and it really gives the next color something to work with and go off of. So right here is where I will frame this area out and cut in really good in those corners. Now this carved area is barely like raised. I mean, it's probably like, I don't even know. But so I'm gonna go on here very flat with my brush, but you can already see that I brought out what was on there just by what little I did. And I just want to enhance these little arches and finish framing out the side here. I don't want everything to look the same. I want it to look as if, I've talked a lot about this in my live videos. I like to highlight the areas, and a good way for me to imagine that is to think of where the sunlight might be coming in, or casting a shadow, perhaps like through a window. So that just kind of gives me direction. And you know, I'm able to play with the colors a lot more than just knowing that. So you can see in that arch on the right side, it's a little bit lighter than the one on the left, because I'm already picking my point to where I kind of saying maybe the sun is going to come from. So where you'll really be able to see that is on the legs, on the very end. Here I'm still working and figuring out my piece, and when I come up to the next color of the honky tonk red, then that's when you'll really start seeing more of where my shadows are and highlights. So coming on the side here, this is pretty traditional and standard for me. I will frame out these sides, and this is on a Jacobean style buffet, but it also can be on any other style buffet or dresser. I usually work them in a lot of the same times if I'm doing a boho look. So I'll frame in the legs, and just like I'm doing right here, I'm hitting the corners. So when I'm saying framing in, I'm hitting all the corners and highlighting those, and then maybe a few brush strokes in between, but nothing too crazy. I'm even framing in that bottom piece right there. So all four corners, edges. right there, I'm kind of putting a little highlight on the legs just to kind of see how it looks, where I might be going with that. But I'm gonna jump up to the big space here on the side here in just a second. So I'm gonna frame this area out. So I'm just creating dimension and kind of setting myself up for this big blank space, this big scary blank space. Sometimes it's overwhelming to have such a big space, so I always say work from the outside in and like frame it out, you know, just keep moving in and it'll work out good. So here I have a little bit of paint on my brush, and I just kind of tap the bottom, which I'm putting paint on that edge, and then I'll bring my brush up, not down, but I'm gonna bring it up just a little bit on that bottom, and that really like enhances like this depth, and I so many words. I kind of came up with a new distressing method here. So right here you can see I'm putting these little splotches in there, paint dabs, and then I'm going to come exactly flat with my brush and bring it down. I'm spreading that paint that I just put on there. So it really gives it like a tattered look. But it's faux distressing, and I don't know, I just kind of came up with it. I think it was on this piece that I did it, and I've started doing it on all of them. I love it. It's really easy, and it just gives you a little bit wherever you want it to look like it's been, you know, hit with something, or just from old age, old world, distressed, rustic, whatever you want to call it. But keep in mind, I'm going to be using honky tonk red after this. So here I'm looking at it and kind of gauging like where I'm gonna go from there. But just to show you, you can see how I work from the outside in on that big open space. All right, we're on our third color, honky tonk red, and let's get started. Hope you guys enjoyed my little Chi-Chi Marie. She's so cute. She's a long-haired Chihuahua, and I love her so much, and I wish I could just do videos of her all the time. But y'all have to watch some painting too. Okay, so I've got my honky tonk red with my chip brush. Again, no water on the brush, more like a dry brush. I kind of sped this video up just a little bit. That way y'all can kind of see it come together a little bit faster. I'll try to talk a little bit faster myself. But I'm going to be basically doing the same thing that I did with the Peacock. And so I'm doing kind of like my dry brush and hitting the surfaces. let's see, I'm going to start adding some detail on the legs here and just highlighting. There we go. That's what I like. And that's what I love about these Jacobine legs. And there's my little princess. Oh my gosh, I can't stand it. She's so adorable. So anyway, adding the highlights that you would see. So I'm actually probably imagining the sun shooting in, obviously, like from the left side of this cabinet. And then I'm kind of just going to drag it around slightly, but not as heavily on the right side. So I'm just going to straighten that brush, or I'm sorry, flatten that brush out and continue to hit all these sides. I want to hit all the horizontals, verticals. It's really going to bring out all this detail. Like, if you guys do this and fast forward, it's pretty cool how it looks like all of a sudden with this red. Okay, yes, I have leopard shoes with fringe. Which are available on my website if you guys are into that kind of thing. I love leopard print. Even on the bottom of this cabinet, I'm going to imagine like some highlights of the sun. So I'm going to hit these. Mostly I'm hitting now the corners. I'm not going too far as an all-around kind of color like I did with the cobalt and the peacock. So right there you can see another highlight in this leg, and the sun's there she is. I don't want to get paint on her. So I'm gonna put, I'm thinking, oh, the sun's coming from the left, so highlighting, and it looks awesome right there. I'm thinking, I know. I'm dabbing back over on the left side because I really want to enhance that red on the left side of these legs so that I really get a real thick layer of paint on there. You guys are totally welcome to fast forward this if you are tired of me talking. I know that some people want a full tutorial and walked right through it, and some people just want music to play and watch it go unfold. Maybe I can do another video in the music version, which I don't mind doing. It just takes time, so bear with me. Okay, so I'm going to tackle this pretty door, and you'll see how I highlight all these pretty little carvings. Once again, I'm working from the outside to the inside. so it's less overwhelming for me. And if you choose to use my technique, then it will be less overwhelming for you when you use a lot of color. It just kind of gives you a starting and an ending around each area, instead of thinking of it like as a whole. So, and of course I just go one color at a time, so I don't use multiple colors at a time. I just do one, then the second, and so on. Okay, so here I'm working on the door, and I actually framed out the door just slightly, kind of like a distressed look, and right in the corner, so you can see I'm kind of working on it still there and right there, up in that corner. I want to get kind of heavy in those corners because I don't want my box to look perfect. You know, it's supposed to be an aged and distressed somewhat look. I'm flattening my brush to hit these corners, or these carved areas, and then just dragging my brush across as best I can to get that each corner hit with some honky tonk red there. Okay, so I'm gonna move over to the right and look at what a big difference it makes. It's like, it's a huge difference. It's pretty neat. So I think I will go ahead and just play music from right here on, because I've kind of gone over the process, but I'll come back whenever I think we need to go over something else. So just enjoy, and I will be back. I'm back. We're on to the side of this buffet, and I'm gonna go over kind of how I um, like to paint the sides. I kind of have a process that I do with this area. So I'm going to really outline this entire box. And right there, I'm kind of just doing a little faux distressing. Once again, I'm gonna do those little lines and then drag my brush side or flat up and down, and that just kind of creates a really distressed look. It's just that new little look that I kind of do. And I really try to keep it kind of to the outside of this box, because I still want to keep my cobalt blue there in the middle. I really don't ever stray too far directly in the middle, because I like to create like a center or focal point right there. It's like going in the deep black hole or something, but it's colorful and pretty, and it just kind of draws the eye in. So I do this on both sides, so now I'm going to tackle this other side, but I'll do it, slightly different, because not everything wears and tears the same. So here I go, and I always love to outline the legs and just really highlight these corners to give it lots of dimension. And texture. It's not a ton of texture, but it is a little bit, so basically it's whatever kind of builds up from the paint, and then once I add the metallics, it kind of builds up just a little bit more. So and along the these bottom pieces, all these, I always go in the corner there and darken it up with whatever color I'm working on, especially on this third color. So I'm gonna do my faux distressing technique and drag it down or up, depending on where I'm coming from. Really bringing the eye to center. Sound like a yoga instructor. Awesome. Hey everyone, I'm back and I just wanted to say thank y'all again for watching. Right now I'm going to start adding some of my favorite colors, which are metallics, and this one is made by Dixie Belle. This is Moonshine Metallics, and it does have like a shimmery look to it, so you can kind of see here, hopefully, shimmer. And what I'm going to be, this one is called Gold Digger, and they actually have quite a few different colors of Moonshine Metallics. So when you go to the site, you can see and pick and choose which ones you want. So this one, I'm going to be using a chip brush, which you can get from the Dixie Belle site as well. They're inexpensive and easy to use. You can wash them out and reuse them too. But so with this piece that I'm continuing on, which is painted with, this color is Dixie Belle's Cobalt Blue, and this one is Peacock, and the reddish color is Honky Tonk Red. So I've kind of taken what I normally do and did a different color combo to see how everything works out. I'm kind of excited about it. It turned out really good so far. So now I'm going to be adding my metallics, and I'm going to brush those on these raised edges right here. And it's not really a brush stroke. I'm really tapping and setting my brush sideways to enhance everything that I've done so far. My placement on all this is just by my, from my personal touches that I want to have the colors. And what's awesome about this technique that I do is you can bring out more of one color. You can start with, a particular base coat and have more of one color. So my base coat on this was the Cobalt Blue. So I'm going to have probably more of a blue hue to it than any of the other colors. But you can certainly start off with, like Honky Tonk Red or the Peacock color. Maybe you're trying to match something in your home. If you have more red tones in your home, this might be a better look for you since the red isn't so much. Or if you have more blue tones in your home, maybe you'll want to stick with, doing your base coat with the Honky Tonk Red. So it's nice that you can pull out a few different looks, and I plan on doing that for you guys. That way you can see what more of one looks like than the other. So I'm always looking for more color combos and bringing those out. I think it's fun. So again, I'm just hitting all of my edges here. And then I'll go back and look and see, where something needs it more, but you can already see how this is coming out already. I'm bringing out all the colors that I've already done, and just kind of what this does is to me it finishes off the look. It kind of brings it all together, Another thing is a lot of us have, you know, gold or silver fixtures in our home, gold decorative pieces in our home. So it's just nice to have this bring out those colors in our homes. You can draw it in with something like this. So this is just another way of using your metallics and your your moonshine metallics. I like using these because it's not as opaque as your gilding wax that Dixie Belle has. So you really get a true color in here. So it's thicker and it just really offsets on all these colors that we have. Lots of contrast in my pieces. Highlighting and defining. Love it. Okay, let's see. sometimes I like to build them up in the color and the highlight, because it's a really raised corner edge. It's going to it's something that sticks out in the sun and really catches the light. So I can do something like that and then drag across. So right there I've created your sun-kissed corner and highlight. Just kind of like I did here. And you can see like on these corners right here and then here. Because I don't want to do that like as a whole look, you know, and here I'm gonna just continue to kiss those right there. And here, all these little edges, I'm barely brushing and getting my look right here. Now you can do it from above, which will it will soften your look a little bit more up here, or you could come from the bottom to get like a more harsh look. So you're really gonna have to work a little extra harder. But sometimes you just don't have a choice because of the way the furniture is. Like I have this lip right here, so I'm kind of like, it's awkward, you know. But you can still make that work. And with the metallics, you do want to make sure that you mix up your can really well, because you just want to have that paint mixed in. Since you're using such a light amount of it, you want to make sure that you're getting all the color and using it to its fullest potential. So it's a little bit tedious, you know, it's a little bit of work to bring in this look, but I think it's fairly easy, and once you start doing it, you'll figure out your rhythm, and before long you'll be knocking them out faster than me because I'll be working on these videos for you. So okay, on here, and I think I already did this in my live, but so there's like this slight rise that happens right here, and you can see I've already done my colors to do that, but I am gonna take my gold because look, it adds just a little more to it. I mean, a little bit more, and I edge out, line it out, barely tap, and I'm gonna line out on this side as well. It's a little tedious right here, but you can do it. You can do it. Okay. And again, I have put my red there, and I'm going to come up here, and I want to get these right here too. Here you can barely, slightly I mean, add your color on there too. So I've hit all of those, and oopsie, and then I'm going to do this side for you guys and show you how to. Can probably get a little bit more than normal on this one, and I'm gonna outline like I normally do and create. I'm gonna go from this side so y'all can see. You can dab it a little bit, come across there. Actually, I'm gonna go right here, all the way down, and I will go all the way down. But while we're up here, I will do a line, come across, do a line, getting more paint, drying it off. I'm going to come over here and do a line. Okay, so now you see all my distressing and all this fun stuff going on. Where my red is, that's where I'm gonna put the Moonshine Metallic Skull Digger. Okay, so I will do some brush strokes here, but I'm gonna come in and dab on my reds and drag. So I'm just kind of dragging and just picking up whatever raised, whatever's raised. Since this piece does have texture on it, I can easily pick up whatever's distressed, and it will grab that paint and work for me. But when sometimes I like to create my own, especially if you don't have any raised edges and you don't have anything to really work with, so to speak. I will do this and create that look. Okay, I'm gonna come down. Let me get lower you here. I'm gonna come down here and get paint on the bottom, bring it up, and then I'm gonna slightly come up on it. Okay. And so just to blend it in, so sometimes I don't like to leave it so flat in the middle, I will come down and do very slight. I'm barely hitting this. It's going to take whatever's on my brush, just whatever's left, and give it a few sun kisses. And so now I have like a little bit of a texture instead of just a flat cobalt look. It looks like it's really a part of the piece, and I can come down here and do somewhat of the same thing, you know, on areas like this, just slightly. I mean, ever so slightly. On these sides, on the bottom, we will hit these tops. I'm gonna barely hit that top. I'm gonna swipe across this side because it's an edge and I want to create like an ending, and maybe where the light hits, or like it's like a dirt kind of, but I always say my dirt is in color. What I do is wisp along the bottoms like that here, because it really smooths out that bottom. I don't need to go and hit it and tap it so much. It's not gonna be catching so much sun. And that's kind of like the same on here. On the bottom of my legs, I will swipe slightly like that just to get a little more down there. Let me get that. Here I'm gonna barely dip, barely. And I will hit my red spots that I created. Just a little bit, because it's going to bring your eye around to the back as well. So I'm gonna go over, I'll say, yeah, my sun's coming from this way, where my red is. I don't know why, I just feel like sun-kissed and red just really go together. So I am taking this, so you can see I've got a few little dots on there. It's still fairly wet, so here I'm just slightly, and I don't have to do that on all of them. Just enough to be like, hey, I'm here, I'm in the sun, I'm loving it. Show me off with a little shimmer, a little gold, because that's what Mama like. That's what I like. And just that little bit, like, oh man, it just puts so much richness and gorgeousness into it. I mean, you can't hardly stand it. Jewels, jewelry. A lot of people say this reminds me of their jewelry they have, especially the Southwest colors that I do, with the mermaid tail and the honky tonk red and the peacock. Everyone, you know, that has a piece of jewelry, Southwest style jewelry, tells me that's what it looks like, and it does. It's beautiful. I mean, why wouldn't you want to have a big piece of jewelry sitting in your living room, you know? So on here, I can see where my highlight is, which is my red, and I'm gonna take this and basically outline, kind of drag it across, do a little zhuzh on it, and highlight the bottom of that piece. And I'm gonna tap a few spots, and I might come up under here a little bit. Turn. Man, I made a mess of that. It's okay. So let me. Now these do tend to have stray hairs sometimes like that. Now I can just go in and cut that off with a pair of scissors. If yours ends up doing that, just cut it off so it doesn't go wacky when you're trying to use your brush. I mean, this, as simple as this brush is, you have to use it strategically whenever you're doing something like this. I mean, otherwise you're gonna have all kind of splotches, randomness. As random as it is, you don't need any other random stragglers going on. So you can see I'm going to do that same thing here in that corner. And this one I can drag all the way across as well. And I went a little bit, my brush grabbed a little thick right there, but that's okay. That is okay. You work with it. Okay, so on this side, I'm not going to have too much gold because this is where my sun has come from. So I might come in here and do a few little, but I'll just do it over my red portions like that, and just stay in sync where I put my shadows and highlights with the sun, my fake sun that I've created. So and I do like to outline these little feet down here. And I haven't even put any paint on my brush in a little while, but we still have quite a bit on there, and it's picking up all the light. It looks really good. So I'm gonna tackle those, and then on here, I'm gonna slightly tap that edge. Can y'all see that? Let me get you back up a little bit higher on that. So I'm working on right here. See how I put the red there already. And then here, I'm hitting this edge ever so slightly. Well, we are done, and I just want to say thank you so much for following Texas Gypsy Style. I am so excited to have gotten this video out to you guys. I know it has been a while, but if you are inspired by this piece, you guys can order your Dixie Belle paint and supplies through my affiliate link. I totally appreciate it, and I appreciate you guys wanting to learn more, and I am excited to show you guys more. So if y'all have any questions, just let me know, or any, additional things that you want to know about this piece. Happy to help. So thank you so much again, and again, my name is Krista Mulkey, and www.texasgypsystyle. You can visit my Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, wherever you want to go. Thank y'all. Bye-bye.